Hello to my fire signs, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. I am doing the next few weeks. We have a lot going on for the rest of the month. And so a lot of fire for you. So I'm starting with you guys, and I'm going to start with the Aries. Um, we have the summer solstice coming up, and we do have Chiron finally leaving Aries, right? So the wounds that you've been dealing with are now going to shift into the Taurus energy of your chart. And we have the solstice and the sun entering Cancer. Summer actually begins. So the energy will shift, from Gemini energy, mental energy, to Cancer energy, which is love and home, emotional, the heart, so the pace will slow a little bit with that. And we have the full moon at the end of the month, and Jupiter will enter Leo then, and Mercury will retrograde. And so right now we are in the pre-retrograde, which can sometimes feel intense. So you may already be noticing old conversations happening in your head or with other people. Old connections can resurface. Old decisions that you might be questioning can resurface. The all the old has to seem to come back up to make sure that we made the decisions that we're comfortable with. So we're usually reevaluating. So let's take a look, Aries, at what the rest of the month is bringing for you. With all this being said, hello, everybody that is here. I'm so glad you guys are here. All right, we are on Aries, and I have nonsense. It's time to talk some sense, right? So I pulled this deck out. It's been a long time. I use it on Sunday's readings, and so Sunday's readings still do apply for the week ahead, and I do currently reflect on the astrology that's going on too when I'm doing your reading. And so this card here always reminds me of the nonsense that you've heard growing up, the nonsense that you hear from people around you, the nonsense that you're telling yourself about why you can't do something, why something won't work out, why somebody doesn't want to be with you, all that stuff that you're coming up with, that you're focusing on the why not, on the why things can't be. It's turning that around and starting to talk sense about what about the things that are true? What about the things that can happen? What about the things that you have done? What about the things that you have accomplished? What about the things that are still working for you that you might not be focusing on because you are hearing loudly the things that you're not doing, the things that haven't worked out, all the negative things that seem to be absorbing are being asked to take a break. And that could be Gemini energy too that we've been in. It's a lot of mental energy, a lot of activity. A lot of it can be just overstimulation and information, too much information going on at once. So it is asking you to slow down with some of that negative self-talk that you might be having right now. So let's take a look at your energy right now, the biggest shifts, the good stuff coming in, the good moments, and the whammies. I love the whammies. I got that from a Gemini who's always here, Mad Max, calling everything whammies. And then I will look at Aries through Pisces and see what the energy is of each zodiac sign that you currently have on your mind, that maybe we'll see some shifts for you. I'll pull an oracle to see what's coming through. All right, so the 10 of Wands is kind of the energy I was just talking about. It's like, how much longer are you going to carry these thoughts, these weights, this heavy energy? At some point, it's like it's like, fuck it type of energy. It's like, I'm doing everything I can. I have a lot of pressure, and it could be a lot of background noise that's going on, a lot of things, responsibilities that you carry. You're just being tested. It's heavy. But, this is telling me that you have been building something. You are, you're working really hard to attain certain goals in your life. But are you carrying extra pressure on yourself when you're already doing the work? You're already accomplishing things. You're doing the hardest part by showing up, by saying you're gonna get these things done, whether you're working really hard, 2 jobs, going to school, doing whatever it is you're doing, but all the extra added pressure that you're adding onto yourself while you're going through this also feels like the Chiron energy too. It's like you're wrapping up several years of carrying or focusing on certain wounds that you may have dealt with, and pressures that really you're just ready for this release. You're ready for something to change. So we have a 6 of Pentacles, your current energy, it's an awesome energy for me. It feels like the universe has some gift of balance coming in for you. It's like, where are you giving too much of your energy? Slow down, let others give to you. This is money coming in. This is gifts coming in. This is, you've put in so much effort. Be open to receive now, and people giving you the help that you need, or people showing up for you. So this tells me that a lot of what's been out of balance in your life right now really may have been huge whammies in your life. You may have been noticing where you just are overcompensating in relationships, where now it's like you've discovered how hard you work, you know who you are, what you can give, and what you deserve. So now it's about, what is my worth, and am I going to ask for it? Am I going to step up and allow others to show up and put in the effort that I've been, given? And that's the next chapter collectively, I believe, with the Chiron going into Taurus. It's where you're now being asked to not just know your worth, not just be constantly aware and healing, but actually now applying it and in your relationships, and not compensating anymore, asking for help when you need help, voicing when somebody needs to show up, making decisions to push a little bit or pull back, and be strong enough to pull back when you know somebody else needs to show up. All right. So there is an energy. If your life has been out of balance, or you've been holding back too much and trying to carry all this yourself and saying it'll get better, or somebody, I'll wait it out a little bit longer. These things are going to get really loud for you, or they've been getting really loud for you. And it's going to be to a point where you will speak it. You'll have to say it. You'll have to demand it and step up and say, I deserve more in my life, because what you're worth, and asking for what you're worth, is the real assignment here, the real work, right? We can know everything until we're blue, but if we're not applying it, we're not going to see the results. All right. So what's the biggest shift? And fire signs, and look at this, the 9 of Pentacles. I see a huge shift when it comes to receiving your worth, in value, when it comes to money, and stepping up when it comes to finishing certain projects that you may have been working on that will result in more income. If you are working towards something, you've been putting a lot in, this is a sign that you may see some of the checks being balanced, some of the payouts coming in, somebody honoring the work that you're putting in, especially when it comes to your work. This is financial freedom and independency, and becoming more independent. But this is also going back to you're knowing your worth. And once you know your worth, you can't go back. If you're dealing in a situation and you're just not being acknowledged, it's going to be hard to step back into this old version of yourself where I'll just wait, I don't need it, when you really do need it and you want it, right? So this is you being more demanding, and this is almost like a glow up too for you, where you're looking good, people see you, people are recognizing you, they're recognizing the work that you've been putting in. You may even stand out a little bit more as being more solid, grounded than other people around you. And some of the things that you may even be saying, people are noticing that you're more grounded and realistic in your approach to things, and you're not settling. Even for some of you, you've already begun not settling for anything. It's like, this is what I've been working on, and this is what I want. And this identity that you're stepping into is also attracting in new people into your life, because this is my single and available and looking good. And this energy with Leo, it's Jupiter in Leo, and then we have the full moon that's coming up at the end of the month. You could, in the retrograde, you definitely could have circumstances coming around for you where people are realizing that they didn't see what you were before, but now they're seeing it. And maybe now you're in a place where you're not wanting it anymore. So a lot of you could be receiving notes from exes, or somebody in your life trying to show up and pull a fast one by you again, and you're just not in a place where you're so confident that this could be your resolution. This could be where you're making peace with a situation and realizing that you gave yourself to a situation in the past, and now you've learned your lesson, and now people are seeing you walk away or walk on, and you've grown from something. And that's the validation that comes from within. It's like, you've changed, you've grown. And now it's just a little bit too late for some people that might be trying to pop back into your life. Now, you also could be making decisions to go solo in this time for you, because this could be a really big time for you to find new romance. Where you have this newfound confidence in yourself. But be mindful of what I said in the beginning. It's time to talk sense to yourself. All right. So a lot of what I am saying here is some things that could be going on internally where you're reflecting on, what, I already know the answers to this. And why am I even doubting myself at this point when I know this phase in my life? I already know the answers, and I know I'm right about this, and I'm pretty confident. All right. So you may be being challenged with some of that nonsense that you are still trying to hold on to, that is just not you anymore. So the biggest shift for you this rest of the next couple of weeks is going to be one when it comes to your finances, when it comes to asking for your value, when it comes to getting paid your value, when it comes to you actually seeing that, this place needs me more than I thought. I put a lot of work in, and if I were to, take back my energy, they'd be lost without me. That can also be in relationships too, where you're starting to see that if I do pull back my energy, somebody needs my support. People need your support more than they're letting on. Maybe because you just automatically give it and do it and don't say anything. But when you start to pull away your energy, it's going to be obvious that people really need it. They value it more than they're letting you know. So this could be an energy of gratitude. Maybe some people will show up and be grateful for what you have given to them, what you have done, the services that you have done for others. So this is where the hard truth comes in too, about, where do you keep putting your energy and not getting paid? Like I said, it's going to be a big whammy in front of you, where it's like, what? I just can't keep contributing to this without being respected. So the good stuff coming in, and I'm seeing the Temperance card. It looks like whatever is out of balance in your life, wherever you have been feeling like, you need a reset. The Temperance card usually does bring in some sort of, it's alchemy. It feels like things are just coming into alignment. Things are coming back into place, learning how to moderate your time, learning how to put your energy wisely where it needs to be so that your life can come into balance. And the Temperance card is, where your life, it looks like financially or with your worth, has been out of balance. It's starting to find its way where it feels like you're in alignment, and it feels like things are starting to unfold organically without you having to force things or pressure things. And the 10 of Wands too is also a breakthrough energy, where it's like you don't have to work so hard anymore. You've worked hard enough to get to where you're at, and now you can sort of sit back and let the payouts come in. So there could be a career recognition, very professional milestone that comes in, and an identity shift that comes in when it comes to your confidence. And all this is going to add to your career. Not only it's focusing on your career, but it's going to enhance your value in relationships, because people will see you obviously different as well. So in love specifically, I see the Knight of Swords. There could be a conversation coming towards you about the direction of a relationship. All right. We are seeing, a Knight of Swords, which can be somebody who's very fun, very lighthearted, very playful, Aquarius, Libra, Gemini. And it can happen pretty fast as you're focused on this area of your life. It could be somebody that you're even working with, or is in this area of your life. It feels like career and romance are tied together. But this is somebody who has an intention, wants to set an intention. So I'll look at Aries through Pisces and see what I get for their energies. But it's like we need to have a conversation about where this relationship really is going. And you may notice that your love relationship takes a huge turn when it comes to once we declare what's really happening. Because if you're the Nine of Pentacles, you're not going to settle for anything less. All right. So romance seems to be available for you. Some of you may be deciding to even go solo so you can check what's out there. And, you know, and finding ways to bring your life back into balance is when love turns around. Somebody might be coming in. All right. Anything else for Aries? Eight of Pentacles. We are seeing your work, your focus is really on building what you've been building, and a new job, a new position, a new professional career, a new doorway could open up for some of you too when it comes to your career and your finances. All right. So let's look at love. Let's see what I get for love. Aries through Pisces. With this energy that's coming in, let's look back at nonsense and it's time to talk sense. And we have the Knight of Swords. So a lot of you here can be living on assumptions when it comes to love. And, you know, one minute you might be feeling good about something, and then the next minute you could be like talking all kinds of limited beliefs about a situation. And this is even if you're single, you know, it's like it's not going to happen. You know, one minute it seems like it's going good, the next minute it's not. So you could be really creating a lot of negative assumptions when it comes to love. So let's take a look at Aries through Pisces. For Aries, I see the Queen of Pentacles, and this kind of goes back to your reading. It really does feel like your main focus is your worth in relationships. You know, the same thing applies to your career, right? You're showing up as the Queen of Pentacles. And this is really grounded in on what your values are when it comes to a relationship with another Aries. Are we on the same page? And not lowering your standards for a relationship, especially when it comes to another Aries. You know, I want to know where this relationship is going. So it looks like you could be talking with another Aries about, you know, a serious conversation about where do I stand with you? Do you really value this connection? And are we going to make a decision about where this is going? So you could have a clear direction with an Aries by the end of the month, by the full moon. Now, Taurus is the Strength card, and I'm feeling like you guys have a way around this. All right. You guys can be a lot alike when it comes to stubbornness and pride, when it comes to independency too. And it feels like that's what brings you guys closer. And there's no way you guys cannot figure out, for those who I'm connecting with, it's softening up a little bit around the edges and building this bond stronger, because there is some pride that gets in the way, but there is also a relationship here that is very challenging, and one that through the challenges will bring you guys stronger. You make the bond stronger. All right. So it's a strong connection here. You guys just have a lot of challenges to work through. Gemini, I'm seeing the Six of Cups. So there's a lot of love, good moments here with the Gemini. Gemini could be trying to pop back up into your life. You know, they feel you, they connect with you. You know, maybe we're going to set the intention here to start afresh from a clean slate with a Gemini. This could even be a new Gemini trying to enter your life too and expressing their feelings to you. You know, it's like we both have something in common here. We both feel something with each other. And whether or not, you know, where's this going? We might not know at this point, but we can see that a friendship and a bond is forming between you and a Gemini. You know, the outcome, we might just be making the decision to reconcile and see where it takes us. Cancer, Ten of Swords. You may decide to, you know, let things go with a Cancer. All right. Maybe you feel like it's ending. Maybe you know it's over. Maybe it's just time for us to, you know, to get on, move on from a difficult situation. You know, we've given it a lot of goes, a lot of tries, right? And some of you, there could be a Cancer trying to come back around, but you may be making a decision like it's all been said and done, and I just don't want to go back into a difficult time. I've grown from that. I've learned from that. So we are seeing an end of a difficult situation with the Cancer. Now, for some of you, if it's not you guys physically deciding to leave that one in the past, you know, Cancer's going through a difficult time, the Ten of Swords, and that could be where you're being asked to just focus on yourself right now while they're going through this painful ending. Leo, King of Cups. The Leo's feelings are growing for you. All right. The relationship seems to be growing. This could be a new Leo coming into your life as well. And this is really, you know, with the astrology Aries, even though it's really focusing on your career and your independency and your worth, it is also showing an ideal time for romance to really bloom. So if you are in a good relationship or talking to somebody, your relationship will start to really continue to grow, or just continue to grow. You know, no major changes. It's just that we're really, you know, falling for each other. And with the Leo, I am seeing here that there's, you know, connection, a deeper connection beginning to form. Virgo, things coming together with a Virgo, feeling pretty happy with the outcome, letting things kind of settle in and be, you know, preparing for a connection. So maybe you and Virgo are preparing to start the next chapter of this connection, this life. Could even be a new Virgo coming in. But if all is said and you guys are in a partnership, it looks like with a Virgo, things are just still coming together and it's a part of the situation. But there's a good outcome from the situation. And Libra, Nine of Wands, you still kind of traveling through whatever kind of challenges you have. You have the 9 and you have the 10 of Wands. Things are difficult with you and a Libra, you know, but where there's a will, there's a way. It's saying it doesn't look like either of you really want to give up on the connection. Scorpio, 4 of Wands, you could have a reunion with a Scorpio, or just really good, happy times, good moment, sharing some good times. This is maybe by the end of the month, the full moon, there is a moment of, you know, a milestone, a celebration, feeling like we're accomplished, you know, we got something, we know where we stand. Sagittarius, I'm seeing a 3 of Cups. I'm seeing some good times with a Sagittarius, maybe just, you know, continuing with the relationship, talking, growing, feeling like things are getting better, feeling like we're on the same page. Capricorn, the devil. All right. So, you know, there's some heavy energy there with the Capricorn. Capricorn could be dealing with some addiction. They could be dealing with desire for you, love, but fear-based, you know. And so we can see that there's some triggers and there's some wounds. The devil tells me it's going to be up to whether or not you guys can grow past what this addiction is, what this obsession is, what this deceit might be, or this shadow might be, because it could be something that you guys are learning from one another and it'll help you grow. But I can see that you guys are triggering each other in a deep way. Aquarius, 5 of Cups. So I am seeing some sorrow, some sadness, things not turning out exactly the way you wanted with an Aquarius. It doesn't determine the outcome of the situation, but it does still feel like you're disappointed with what's being offered. You're not feeling fulfilled, right? Maybe even still missing an Aquarius. So there could still be some separation happening with your Aquarius. And Pisces, I'm seeing justice, right? So I feel like you're weighing things out with the Pisces. You know, is this worth it? Is it not worth it? Do I want to do this again? You know, maybe you don't, you feel guilty about a choice you need to make, but you're following your truth, you know? So there's some closure or making an important decision when it comes to a Pisces, Aries. I love you guys. And that was Aries. All right. We are moving on to Leo. All right, Leo, we're looking at the rest of June, and there is going to be a lot for your energy. All right, Venus is in your sign, and Jupiter's going into your sign. So, we got that full moon at the end of the month, and we're all mad here. Everyone is a little bit different. All right, this is the card I got for you. We're all going a little bit crazy, all right? Stop comparing yourself to others if that's the case. If you're, of course, my Leos are going to be like, no, I'm not doing that, but maybe you are. Maybe you're just kind of curious. You're kind of peeking out, seeing if other people are dealing with some of the same things you're dealing with. Maybe you're feeling a little bit different these days, you're feeling a little bit like life is just kind of changing in ways that you have no control over. You're not knowing when things are, if they're real, they feel real. Are you coming or going? True Alice in Wonderland energy for my Leos. But this is where you're being seen, where you're really kind of being very magnetic, very glow up energy for you with Venus and Jupiter there. And maybe the spotlight is on you, and maybe some of you are feeling the visibility, but you're also feeling a little bit of insecurity, like, what if I'm exposed? What if if everybody can see that I don't quite have it all together, but I always have to perform like I do? Maybe you got a lot of pressure around you because people look up to you and you just don't want to have those bad days. But I'm here to remind you, and so is Alice in Wonderland here, that we're all mad. We're all crazy. Everyone is a little bit different. Everybody is going through something right now, and everybody's always going through something right now, and nobody can be perfect. And this isn't about perfection. But this is also, I feel like Spirit wants me to say that you need to shine right now. You need people to see your imperfections, because when Leo's in the spotlight showing their imperfections, other people can know that they feel safe and it's okay. That's what I feel like Leo is here. You're the center, you're the sun, and if the sun can have a few sunspots on it, so can everybody else. All right, so this is where you're actually shining and very magnetic, even if you still have the rollers in your hair, or you have, you haven't shaved yet, right? You still look awesome. So let's see. I have the Death card here at the bottom of the deck, all right? So this to me feels like a huge transformation energy when it comes to the version of yourself that you think that you have to perform. All right. Maybe this has to do with the spotlight. Maybe this has to do with, how you stand out in crowds, who you are at work, who you are in life, who you actually are versus, again, who do you have to perform? Maybe some of you kind of isolate yourself because you're just tired of performing around people that maybe they don't get your perspective. Maybe you've changed. Maybe you have awakened, and it's hard for you to be around certain people. But this is where that change needs to come to light. This is where the renewal's coming in. This is where the rebirth is. This is where the no more performing or feeling insecure about who you've changed into and who's going to stick around and be around for you, because there's going to be some new people. There's going to be some more people. There's going to be adding to your friend groups. Your vision could change. And it can be scary with the Death card, because the Death card says, I no longer fit a version. I no longer feel connected to something I'm doing. I'm no longer attracted to somebody. I'm no longer invested in this. And I just can't keep performing this old life of mine when I know I cannot unsee what I see. I want change. I'm ready for change. And so this is what I feel like this energy right now for you is getting you to just get up and go out and not know. Not even be ready, not even be perfect, right? And just do it. Now, some of you, there could be an ending or a relationship, something happened with the relationship, or you're feeling it inside, like you just know that you're over a relationship and you're ready for something new, because the 10 of Cups is underneath the Death card, and it looks like this is a very important time for you. And this is also going to be the beginning of a new type of friendship or relationship that's trying to enter into your life. Now, if some of you are connected with somebody and you're not looking to end something, that is not going to be for you. That could be something psychological, or something to do with your career, something to do with your vision that you had for your life in general, could start to change. It's just you want something new in your life. You're craving something new. I have the King of Pentacles for your energy right now. So it looks like some of you are and have to know that you are very successful, that you already have completed a certain chapter of your life, that you've already made it to a certain point of success. And if something is trying to leave your life right now, it's not failure. That's that Death energy. It's not failure. It's completion. It means you finished something. You have solved something. You have worked so hard to attain something. And that chapter now no longer defines you. So now, a King of Pentacles, it's like, it can be very scary to be in a point where you're like, I had everything, I have everything, I had a goal, but now the goal is changing. The shift is changing. And now I need something new, because all the comforts that I have just don't seem to, the clothes don't fit anymore. The style doesn't fit anymore. So what is coming into your life? And you've got the Temperance card too. So it looks like we're all pulling over here, because Aries had this too. It's like time to pull over and do a reset in your life and decide where in your life, are things just not working for you anymore? Where have you gotten too comfortable? Where is there a bet? You're just kind of staying chill and you're not trying to rock the boat right now. It's a time for reevaluation here and recreating new goals in your life. So your life may seem kind of chill, or seem like at times like it's not going anywhere, but it looks like you're preparing for something big. I see the 7 of Wands. You may be actually standing up towards something by the end of the week. I said the end of the week. I meant the end of the month, but it could be by the end of the week. Looks like you could be calling something out. Be mindful of this energy, because this is your energy, Leo. This is Mars energy too. It just feels like you could end up getting snappy. You might snap at somebody. You might build some boundaries that other people are not expecting. You could say something that you've been holding back for quite some time. You could call somebody out. And to me, it feels like it's a very important moment for you to do this, but also it's about how you do it. All right. So be mindful that something is calling you to say something, but in this energy, we could be very disrupted too. So make sure you're prepared for, calling somebody out or creating a boundary or saying something to somebody. What else is coming in? I'm seeing the 4 of Pentacles. You may be looking at your finances. You may be looking at where you have been holding back on something that you want to purchase, something that you've been wanting, but you've been kind of like, no, making excuses, not sure I want to do this. You might purchase something. You might go ahead, and this could be where you rock the boat a little bit. This could also be where you're asking for more money, or you're asking for more attention. It also could be where you're asking, you're being asked to take a look at your own finances and where do you need to hold back a little bit, especially if you're trying to make a huge change in your life and you're wanting to, if finances seem a little tight for you, you're wanting to make some huge changes in your life. This is going to be where you are changes and end in certain expenses and certain things that you think you need, or you're going to be reevaluating your wants and your needs. I can see that, because it looks like some of you could be coming up with a whole new game plan for yourself, a whole new vision for yourself. And in order to do this, you know, this could be some of you selling a home, some of you wanting to go and buy, you know, go to a different country. Some of you wanted to move across country. Some of you wanted to downsize. Some of you wanted to change your life in general and maybe just go off and do something totally different than you ever would have done, rather than all the material things. The King of Pentacles here. Some of you focused a lot on money and material and status. Some of you could be deciding a more peaceful life and wanting to do something completely against the grain. And this is where you may be making that stance this month to really make some changes in your life so that you can take what you have and start a new project. This is huge for some of you. And I am seeing a Queen of Cups. It could be an important person in your life that is of influence this month, that is helping you, right? So there could be somebody that you're having a conversation with, somebody that there's a new experience. This could be new romance. And also a lot of you decide in relationships whether or not they are fulfilling you on a deep emotional level. When Cancer season comes in, it looks like your heart is coming back to the home, and it's coming back to what your home really means for you. So if your home life has been off, if your goals and the material, and if you're spending way above your means, or you're living this life of status that you wanted, if it's not fulfilling you anymore, a lot of you could be making some huge changes when it comes to simplifying your life and coming back home to what's really important to you. So this is more about not keeping up with the Joneses, and instead taking what you've got and bringing something more into your life, more meaningful, and doing something different with your finances in your life. And also with somebody in your life, you could be connecting to a different lifestyle with somebody in your life as well. Somebody coming into your life that is bringing a whole new vision of what life could be. And, you know, this could be you going back to the beginning, where comparing with others. How are other people doing this? What are they doing? What's this person? You might notice somebody in your life doing something that you really want to do. And this could be where this huge change comes into your life. Now let's look at Aries through Pisces. If you do have somebody in your life, I am seeing here that some of you, you know, maybe making some huge decisions. I have, you know, you want something more in your life. So even in a partnership, it looks like you may be having a conversation with your partner about doing something different with your life, so that because you're just not happy with the comfort. You're not happy with the way things are. If you're single, right, this is going to be a time where you're reevaluating everything in your life and changing the way you're living. That could also be calling in a person who is influencing you to change your life. All right. So with that being said, let's look at the person that's on your mind and see what kind of energy they're coming through the next couple of weeks, and any positive changes. Aries, I see the Star card. Looks like you and Aries could be talking about a different future together. All right. It's like, you know, maybe you and Aries have been going through some challenges, or a dark period in your life, or just uncertain. Your life just seems dark, or just seems uneventful. And it looks like you and Aries could be really reaching for the stars and saying, you know what I hear is you and Aries having a conversation about, you know, I want something different. I don't want to do the same thing every day. I don't want this life anymore. I want something different. So you guys could be talking about doing something drastic together. Taurus, I see Queen of Wands. It looks like you and Taurus revisiting your visions together, you know, being amped up. You and Taurus actually deciding, getting excited about recreating a future. Now, Taurus could be a new person coming into your life. I am seeing that, Leo, that you have a new person that may show you a different way of living. And this is what I'm seeing with a Taurus. It's like something's sparking this fire in this relationship that says, you know, we both want something more. Gemini, the Hanged Man. You may decide with a Gemini that things are not changing. Things are not going anywhere. You just feel stuck. Right? And this tells me that it may still be the same energy. It's where you might pull over and say, you know, we could keep going this way. It doesn't mean you have to end the relationship with a Gemini, but it does say, like, maybe come into terms with, if things don't change, am I okay with this? Or do I need to look at things differently, or decide to, you know, move on, transition, go a different way? Because yeah, the relationship might work, but is it really what I want? So you could be questioning things with Gemini. Cancer, Ace of Wands. I am seeing a new fresh energy with the Cancer. So you guys may light things up. You may have an idea. You may be curious about a connection. It could be a new connection with the Cancer with that Ace. But it looks like we're sparking something up, which could be a conversation about where this relationship could potentially go and how we could make it work. Leo, you have the 9 of Wands. So I can see that you've been going through some tests, right? It's obvious here. You know, now it's like, is all this life I'm in, is all this, whatever I'm doing every day, whatever gets me up every morning, is that really fulfilling me? Does life have to be this hard? I feel like that's the questions that, you know, going back to the beginning, we're all mad here. Everyone is a little bit different. Everybody is dealing with a little bit of stress. A lot of people are going, what the F? What am I showing up for? What's the purpose here? What's the purpose anymore? And you could be questioning a lot of these things. And this is why I'm feeling like some of my Leos could make a drastic change in their living situation, their life. You know, even in professional, you know, I don't know if I want to work this hard anymore. Where can I make my life more simple so I don't have to work so hard? All right. Is this all that life has? But I'm seeing you in another Leo, not willing to give up. Like, you got a lot of fire really pushing at you right now that says we can really transmute this energy, burn away what's no longer serving, and decide to bring some more joy into our lives. And what does that mean for us? Virgo, I'm seeing a decision that could change the direction of your relationship. So with you and a Virgo, it looks like we're getting to the truth. We're deciding to look at the facts. Is this real? Is this promising? Do we want the same thing? Are we going to invest in this and actually make change? Or am I going to sit around and wait for things to change on its own? You know, so you could be making an important decision with the Virgo in the next couple weeks. Libra, I'm seeing the Empress energy. Libra's got a lot of love for you, right? That's mama energy. That's growth energy. We're always continuing to grow, continuing to heal the relationship, and just learning to trust, right? But this is also very natural energy too. So it feels like maybe you and a Libra, maybe taking things, bringing it closer to home, building a home, or focusing on what really matters and simplifying life. Scorpio, 4 of Wands, and seeing a return home life, coming back to the basics. So you and Scorpio may be discussing, what does that look like for us? What is comfortable? Do we both really want to build something more solid here? This could be a major turning point in a relationship with a Scorpio, where you are deciding, or you just feel like the energy is promoting this relationship into something bigger, better, feels more comfortable. Sagittarius, you could be making future plans. Things are still moving and grooving with a Sagittarius. A lot of fire energy there. It feels like we're making progress. Things are starting to move. Maybe you're making the next decision, taking the next step in the relationship, you know, deciding what's going to work next, what we need next. Capricorn, 6 of Wands. So you and the Capricorn seem to be in it to win it. You know, some way we're going to make it work. You know, there's a status change. There's a battle that's being won. There's, you know, we're making wins. We're reaching goals here when it comes to a Capricorn. Aquarius, 10 of Pentacles, talking about future plans. So making a decision to take that first step onto this path. That you could be getting an offer from a Aquarius, and this has potential to grow into long term. Pisces, the Wheel of Fortune. So we're taking a turn here. The Wheel of Fortune is another chance to go around here with the Pisces. Do we want to redo things? Can we get off this this karmic wheel? Can we make different choices? Can we go for it? So there is an experience, or there's a situation that could turn things around for you in a Pisces. But if it's a constant wheel of, you know, that we can't get off, you could be making a decision to decide to get off that wheel. I love you guys. Let's move into Sagittarius. Leo. Leo's read. I loved it. Let me just clear this shuffle real quick before I put the timestamp up. Sag. All right, so 45. Let's see. Good timing. All right. Sagittarius. All right, Sagittarius. Let's see. We got the next couple weeks. Let's take a look at some of the big shifts that's coming in your life. All right. Some of you deciding to service the animal world. Some of you maybe getting a rescue pet. Some of you deciding to help out with animals or something important around animals for you. That's been happening with a lot of people lately. You have law is not justice, rules that are not fair. All right. There is good vibes. We are looking at good vibes in these readings. We're looking at what's good's going to come in. And part of the thing, though, is this is sometimes law does not seem like it's right. Things just happen. And they happen, and there's just, you know, sometimes it's just acceptance. Rules that are not fair, you know, paying attention, like, you know, sometimes you're very kind or you do things a certain way, but there are just people that do things that are not fair, but there's no way to persecute them because there's no law against it. You know, nobody has to show up for you. Nobody has to be kind to you. Nobody has to be anything to any of us. And sometimes you think, you know, our moral compass, or it's just we should know, or people should know, or things should just happen. And, you know, and it just seems like so unjust. And, you know, it's just a reminder that, you know, people are living their own lives and people are not always aware, and they have their own life to live. They're not always going to be able to say they're sorry to you or know when they do something wrong, because in their world, they didn't feel like they did anything wrong, you know? And some people are built differently. Some people take things a little bit more personally than others, and it doesn't make one right or the other. So if some of you are dealing with that right now, this could be one of these energies where it's like acceptance that not everybody is built the same way. And it's only going to affect you to continue holding on to some sort of injustice, like somebody needs to make something right, because you may be holding yourself back from some good things that are trying to come into your life while you're still holding on to some injustice that may be happening to you. So let's see. Let's see the good stuff that might be happening for my Sagittariuses. You know, it answers those questions why, and sometimes we just don't know why. And the growth happens when we just are like, we don't need the answer anymore. So we have the 9 of Wands. You have the 9 of Wands. So I don't know why Sagittarius is pulling in sort of a heavier energy, but you know, the fire energy that's coming in is showing that, you know, things are going to soften up. We have Cancer energy coming in too. And maybe you are wrapping up something right now. A lot of mental energy in Gemini season, opposing your energy too as well, and just trying to answer all these questions that you may have, or things that may be going on in your mind a lot lately. Some of that's, you know, going to settle, and that is the answer. There is no answer for some of the things that are weighing on your mind right now, except that it's taken up valuable space. The Three of Swords is showing up for you. So apparently I'm picking up on a Sagittarius that just feels like you've been through the fire quite some time, with heartache after heartache or disappointment after disappointment. So God has a plan for you, all right? And everything that you've been going through, it may seem like a setback. You may feel like, you know, you're at wit's end, or you're just not sure if you should give up or not. But this tells me there's another go in, but not needing to know, you know, the answers, or be prepared for everything that's coming your way. I can see that some of you have dealt with a choice. You made a choice and it didn't turn out the way you thought it would. Or you keep making choices and they keep turning out not the way you think they should. All right. And this to me feels like maybe a pattern that is coming in for you, and you're still trying to resolve something, and it is just what it is. All right. So what is shifting? And I see the Eight of Pentacles. A big question about your worth and about what you're putting your focus on and working on yourself here. There's a job shift too as well. And this could have to do with where you feel at work. You feel like you put a lot of time in, a lot of effort in, and some of you not being, you know, not happy, not feeling recognized, not feeling supported when it comes to all the things that you give or do. Maybe some of you just feel like you chose a path and you're feeling disappointed about it. There could be a new job that you're thinking about getting or doing something. And maybe it goes back to the pet. Maybe some of you are being asked to, you know, take on a furry friend and focus on a new career, because some of you may be feeling disappointed with the career path that you have chosen. You may be feeling like you reached the top of your position, and it's just not fulfilling you anymore. All right. And this is where the Nine of Wands, when your job starts to become a headache, and it just starts to, you not feel passionate about it, it's just routine. A lot of you can feel this heavy energy of disappointment constantly and not look at, you know, maybe some of you feel like people are getting paid more for what you do, or you feel like it's not fair that this is where you're at and you put so much in. Or some of you in love relationships feeling like this isn't fair. I just give so much of myself and I do so much, but I keep getting disappointed. It seems like no matter which choice I make, it's not working out for you, but it is. That's where the good news is coming in. Believe it or not, in this reading, is the Nine of Wands and the Eight of Pentacles is saying you still got a payout coming in. It just doesn't seem like anything is working out for you at this current moment, and you're just starting to maybe focus on all the choices you've made not turning out in your favor. So what is coming in? You have the Knight of Swords, and I see the King of Swords. So some of you have clarity coming in, direct conversation coming in, a person coming in. Aquarius, Libra, Gemini, right? This can also be a different perspective for you. Some of you making a huge career shift. This is a big shift. Some of you really feeling weighed down by your choices, or feeling blocked, creatively blocked with where you're at when it comes to your finances or your work. So some of you have been sitting in this energy for too long. You might make a quick decision to upgrade your career, or make a huge decision when it comes to a position or taking on a new position. A new opportunity may show up out of nowhere with that Knight of Swords. You know, there's an important decision around this. Some of you playing it safe, but it's just building up as resentment and disappointment when it comes to your finances, or your worth when it comes to your work. Your world could get extremely big. Your worldview may change with this Aquarius energy. Your position may change and your life may be about to change. But it looks like it's focusing on your career sector first. So I will look at Aries through Pisces for your love, because it looks like travel, teaching, education, doing something more for your community, doing something bigger. And maybe that's why the pet, the nature, the giving back, the doing something for your community is coming in. Something feels like you need something bigger in your life. Maybe something spiritual. This could even be writing something, changing the direction of your life, doing something that feels more important. Because it looks like, career-wise, it looks like you're good to go. It looks like you're very skilled and you're very happy, but you're feeling disappointed and stuck because you reached some wall. And this wall that you're reaching, it looks like it's coming down to you making an important shift about your future, your bigger picture, career. So this is where Jupiter might expand your worldview, getting away from all the little things that you're so focused on right now and taking a step back and really expanding your view to something bigger that will give back to the world. So it's more humanitarian. I don't know why the readings today want to go so big and so grand, but you need something more in your life because you're comfortable where you're at, but it's not bringing you happiness. Now, if some of you are throwing yourself into work after a separation, or you're single and you have gone through a breakup recently, this looks like Spirit God's asking you to focus on what you're giving back to work. You have something, you're expanding, you're growing, you're being called to do something bigger, and love comes with that. Your main focus shouldn't be maybe right now, it should be healing, throwing yourself into a mission, a purpose over the next year. A new healing cycle when it comes to what you really give back to this. What is it that you have? Because you seem very skilled. And if you are dealing with heartbreak and you have no other way or don't know what else to do right now because you're on your own, this is about focusing on a new worldview, a new life, a new choices, right? So let's look at Aries through Pisces and see with love, though, how this plays in. So think about the person that's on your mind. And we'll see what's expanding here, because it looks like your job, your career, your purpose in life is what's trying to expand. All right. When it comes to an Aries, Queen of Swords, maybe this is the problem with an Aries. Maybe you like them. Maybe you feel like you guys have a lot in common. You have the Queen and King of Swords. It seems like an Aries could be very promising when it comes to a future in your life. But right now, if the focus is just on the relationship, it could be that you're needing to shift the focus on yourself before you focus on the relationship. And you guys may end up crossing paths anyways. It seems like you could end up in a relationship, but if you're separated right now, or your focus is on the separation, this could be where there's a block. You are meant to focus on yourself right now, and you will come together or have a conversation with an Aries. Taurus, I'm also seeing, looks like could be meant to be on your path as well too. A relationship with a Taurus could be beginning. This could be the first starts, getting together. I am feeling that love is kind of around you, orbiting around you, but your attention is meant to be on your purpose right now while everything else comes together. This will follow you. You and Taurus seem like you could have a long-term relationship together. Gemini, 7 of Cups. Things are still up in the air with a Gemini. So you have to make a choice of what your focus is going to be, because it looks like a Gemini is having a hard time making a decision. They see the possibilities of a relationship. They want this, they want you, but they're not ready to commit. Cancer, I'm seeing a love offer come in from a Cancer. There could be a new Cancer coming into your life as well, but the connection is beginning. There's an emotional connection. There's an open heart. There's a warmth coming in with a Cancer. Leo, Queen of Pentacles. Leo got this, I think, for themselves too. Leo also working on their purpose and trying to figure out what their next goals are. It could be that you and Leo are deciding to look at a different perspective. You guys might be adding a new worldview to each other's life. You could be building something solid with a Leo long term. So some of you, this could be a newer person trying to come into your life, especially if you are going through separation. That's really showing through on my Sag's reading today. Virgo, 5 of Wands. So I am seeing challenges with the Virgo. It seems like you may be up against or competing against a lot of other things going on. And maybe right now you can't win this battle. You got to choose your battles wisely. This doesn't mean that the outcome couldn't, you guys won't solve this. But right now it looks like you both are fighting for too much going on. So sometimes we throw in the towel and wait for a better time or wait for a different time to resolve things. So you may find it very challenging with a Virgo. Libra, I'm seeing moving on past the difficult situation with the Libra, finally feeling a breath of fresh air. So things clearing up, either knowing which direction we're going in, whether we're going together or not, we're able to move forward and see a new direction. Scorpio, I'm seeing making an important decision about a relationship with a Scorpio. You could be deciding the direction of the relationship, facing the facts about the relationship. Is this good for my future? This is an important decision which will change the direction with you and a Scorpio. Sagittarius, you have the Page of Pentacles. I am seeing that new prospects, new opportunities trying to come into your life, a new person trying to pop through. It may start off slow, especially with another Sagittarius. It may be, maybe you're questioning things. Maybe you feel like, I don't know, do we have enough in common? But it is the slow start that could turn into something more valuable for you in the bigger picture. Messages from another Sag. Capricorn, I'm seeing the Hermit card. So I am seeing some distance between you and a Capricorn. Maybe you guys are walking different paths and you need to go your own way right now. Aquarius, 4 cups. Still not getting what you need from an Aquarius. They just don't want it enough, or it just feels stagnant. They don't want the change enough. And it's not that there's no love there, or there's not attention, or there's not something there, but it's not enough for an Aquarius to make any changes that will benefit. So you could be making a decision that it's not what you need. And Pisces, 2 of Pentacles. So you and Pisces kind of moving and grooving, just taking it slow. But things are still growing between you and a Pisces. You may make a decision of whether or not this is moving at your pace. That's always a possibility. But there is potential for this to continue to grow. I love you guys. I will see you soon in membership. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed today's readings. Please leave a comment if you did. And you guys are awesome. Take care.